It's funny how quickly things can change between friends, right? One minute you're borrowing a cup of sugar, the next you're building a tariff wall so high you can't even see their house. That's pretty much what happened between the United States and Canada in 2025. It all kicked off when the United States under President Trump decided that Canadian steel and aluminum were suddenly a problem. Citing concerns that stretch from national security to fentanyl and illegal immigration, Washington slapped steep tariffs on these metals. It was a classic "it's not you, it's me," but also "it's definitely you" kind of move. The message was clear. America was putting America first, even if it meant putting its closest ally second. Now let's be real, this wasn't just a small disagreement over hockey rules. This was a big deal. The United States imposed a 25% tariff on Canadian steel and aluminum, which for Canada is like someone putting a 25% tax on maple syrup, or apologies. These industries are the backbone of many Canadian communities. The logic from the United States was that this would protect American jobs and industries. But the Canadians were left scratching their heads, wondering how their metals, often produced in collaboration with American companies, had suddenly become a threat. It felt less like a carefully planned economic strategy and more like waking up to find your neighbor has built a fence right through your garden. The situation escalated quickly. What started at 25% didn't stay there for long. By August 2025, the United States had cranked up the pressure, announcing that tariffs on a wide range of Canadian goods would jump to a staggering 35%. This wasn't just about steel anymore. It now included autos, copper, and a whole host of other products. The trade relationship, once governed by agreements and handshakes, was now being dictated by executive orders and tariff announcements. For businesses on both sides of the border, this created a whirlwind of uncertainty. How do you plan for the future when the rules of the game are changing faster than a politician's promises? This move sent shockwaves through the deeply integrated North American supply chain. For decades, companies had built their entire business models on the free flow of goods between the two countries. A part might be made in Ontario, shipped to Ohio for assembly, and then sold back to a customer in Quebec. The new tariffs threw a giant wrench into this finely tuned machine. Suddenly, every truck crossing the border was a potential casualty in this escalating economic conflict. The foundation of North American trade, which was supposed to be as stable and reliable as a Canadian winter, had started to crack under the strain. Canada, often seen as the polite, mild-mannered neighbor, decided it was time to drop the politeness. They weren't just going to say sorry and accept the tariffs. Oh no, the Canadian federal government rolled out its own set of counter-tariffs, a perfectly curated list of American products designed to hit where it hurt. We're talking about a 25% tax on things like American whiskey, orange juice, and motorcycles. It was a strategic move, targeting goods from politically sensitive regions in the United States. This was Canada's way of saying, you want to play this game? Fine, we know how to play too, and we're taking your Jack Daniels with us. But it wasn't just the federal government getting in on the action. The province of Ontario, a major industrial hub, decided to add its own special flavor to the retaliation. First, they dramatically cut steel sales to the United States, directly impacting the very supply chains the United States tariffs were supposedly meant to protect. Then, in a move that really turned up the heat, Ontario slapped a new tax on electricity being sold to its American neighbors. Imagine your friend starts charging you extra for Wi-Fi because you ate the last slice of pizza. It was that level of petty, but on an international scale. This provincial pushback showed that the frustration wasn't just in Ottawa. It was felt across the country. The consequences of this tit-for-tat battle were immediate and messy. In Canada, provinces like Ontario, Quebec, and British Columbia took American liquor brands like Jack Daniels right off the shelves of their government-run stores. This caused sales for some United States spirits companies to plummet by as much as 60% in Canada. It was a clear message that Canadian consumers and governments were willing to make sacrifices to support their stance. Meanwhile, American farmers and manufacturers of a whole range of goods started feeling the pinch as one of their largest export markets began to close its doors. Suddenly, that bottle of bourbon had become a political statement. This escalating series of retaliatory measures turned the trade dispute into a full-blown economic war. What began with tariffs on metals had spiraled into a complex web of taxes affecting everything from alcohol to energy. The integrated economy of North America was being systematically dismantled piece by piece. Both governments were dug in, convinced they were defending their national interests. But for the average person and for businesses caught in the middle, it just meant higher prices, disrupted supplies, and a growing sense of anxiety about what would come next. The friendly neighborhood barbecue was officially over. Amidst all this chaos, one of the world's biggest automakers decided it had seen enough. Toyota, a company known for its long-term planning and efficiency, looked at the unpredictable trade environment in the United States and made a monumental decision. They announced they were shifting their entire North American production base to Canada. This wasn't just about moving a few assembly lines. It was a fundamental restructuring of their continental strategy. Toyota was essentially packing its bags and moving in with the more stable and predictable neighbor. It was a corporate vote of no confidence in the direction of American trade policy. You have to understand how big of a deal this was. For years, Toyota had operated massive plants in both the United States and Canada, leveraging the strengths of both economies. Their decision was a direct response to the tariff instability. By consolidating production in Canada, Toyota could operate within the USMCA Trade Pact's framework while avoiding the cross-border tariffs that were wreaking havoc on their supply chains. They were choosing the path of least resistance, seeking shelter from the trade storm. This move was designed to protect their operations, ensure a steady supply of vehicles to the entire North American market, and avoid the financial penalties of the trade war. This strategic pivot sent a powerful message to other international companies. It showed that the United States, once seen as the anchor of global economic stability, was now viewed by some as a source of risk. The tariffs, intended to bring manufacturing jobs back to America, had triggered the exact opposite reaction from a major global player. Toyota's move highlighted a crucial point. Businesses crave predictability. They build billion-dollar factories based on rules they expect to last for decades, not ones that can be changed by a tweet or an executive order. Canada, in this instance, offered the stability that the United States was no longer providing. The ripple effects were felt immediately. While Canada celebrated a massive economic victory, securing thousands of high-paying jobs and cementing its role as an automotive powerhouse, it raised serious questions in the United States. How many other companies were thinking of doing the same thing? The trade war was meant to be a show of strength, but it was now causing a tangible loss of investment and jobs. Toyota's great escape wasn't just a business decision, it was a landmark event that exposed the real-world consequences of protectionist policies, demonstrating that capital and industry will always flow towards certainty and away from chaos. The fallout from this trade war wasn't limited to North America. The world was watching, and many didn't like what they saw. The United States' policy of using tariffs as a primary tool of diplomacy triggered a global backlash. The European Union and China, two economic giants, responded with their own retaliatory tariffs on American goods. It was like the United States started a food fight in the cafeteria, and soon everyone was throwing mashed potatoes. The EU tried to de-escalate by offering to eliminate some tariffs, but the global trading system was already under immense strain. This wasn't just a United States-Canada issue, it was a stress test for the entire world economy. The economic numbers from 2025 painted a stark picture of the damage. Canada's economy took a significant hit, with its current account deficit widening to a record 21.16 billion Canadian dollars in the second quarter. Its GDP was projected to contract, a clear sign of the pain inflicted by the dispute. In contrast, the United States economy appeared to be growing, but underneath the surface, specific industries were suffering. United States truck manufacturers, for example, faced crippling 50% tariffs on imported metals, threatening jobs and disrupting production. The very industries the tariffs were meant to help were now scrambling to survive, with some even looking to source more from Mexico to avoid the conflict with Canada. As of August 29, 2025, the dust has not yet settled. While there are ongoing talks and some minor concessions have been made to get both sides to the negotiating table, a deep rift remains. The United States insists that all of Canada's counter-tariffs must be removed before any real progress can be made, while the core American tariffs remain firmly in place. This standoff has reshaped the economic landscape of North America. It has forced companies to rethink their supply chains, created new winners and losers, and left a lasting sense of mistrust between two of the world's closest allies. The unshakable bond has been shaken. Ultimately, the trade war of 2025 will be remembered as a turning point. It demonstrated how quickly decades of economic integration can be unwound and exposed the vulnerabilities of a globalized world. The conflict has left deep scars on jobs, businesses, and the very fabric of North American trade. Toyota's move to Canada is a powerful symbol of this new reality, where stability is valued above all else. For years to come, policymakers and business leaders will study these events as a cautionary tale about the true cost of turning a neighbor into a rival, reminding us that building walls is always easier than rebuilding bridges.